Hey guys, what's up? Eddie Yahoo here with KissAnalog.com, and we have Uni-T in the lab, right here. This they call it a 4-output power supply because, well, it does have these 3 outputs, right? And they're all adjustable, but it also has a USB output. What's really nice about this one is that not only does it go just above 30 volts on each of the 2 main outputs, but it also goes up to 5 amps. Well, just over 5, like 5.2 amps. So very cool. Very easy to set up for series and parallel. The GUI interface on this power supply is super nice. It's just very easy and very intuitive. And it has a lot of cool features we'll cover in another video. In this video, we're going to power this amplifier. This is a Pass A5 audio amplifier. We're going to power this guy up. I'm going to show you how to do that in a nice, safe way, okay? It's been a while since I powered this up, so we want to make sure we do it safe. So let's come over to the bench and let's do this thing. Alright guys, so I want to show you this power supply. It's just so awesome. Now I'm going to make the display lighten up so we can see it better. So I just turn them all on. So all on here, or I can turn on one channel at a time. And you see the LEDs turn on, or all on or all off, okay? So it's really neat. Just a quick overview. You have channel 1, channel 2 that can work together in series mode. Check it out. It's really neat how it shows you how to hook them up. Or parallel mode, okay? Shows you how to hook them up. Now, the other thing is you have a 3rd channel. A lot of power supplies, these 3-channel power supplies do. Well, I'd say that sometimes they're fixed and sometimes they're variable. This one's a variable, okay? But it's variable and fixed. You can go from 0 to 6, okay? Let me just show you this one real quick, okay? All right, so we'll just go to channel 3. So I just selected, okay, like that. So you select a channel this way, how to set them up. And each channel, here, I'll get this out of this so you can see them all so they look the same. We'll turn them all on just so you can light them up, okay? But here you have a limit. 6.2 volts, 3.2 amps. That's the max. And then you have your set point, 2.5 volts and 0 amps. So you can set things up so that when you hit the on switch, it'll go to your set, okay? But the limit is, you know, what it is. It's a limit. It's an over voltage limit or an over current limit, okay? So you have the over voltage thing right here. The little blue section lights up this last LED, and you can move it over this way. And so you can change it with this dial, or you can just plug in a voltage. Let's say I want to limit it to 3.6 volts. Okay, so it's 3.6 volts. Oh, and let's say I want to limit the current. Okay, current limit, and I want to limit that to 1 amp, or let's say a half an amp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this arrow over just to show you how you can do it this way too, and I can just dial it down to there's 599. So if I really want 500, oops, there's 60. Okay, here, let me just do it that way. So yeah, so if you really want a certain thing, like say 5.2 amp or 0.52 amps, so you go 0.52, enter. You can do it that way. So you do it either way, and then yeah, so that's how you can set it up, okay? And then you hit it again and it puts a check mark there. So it says, okay, now I'm set. And over voltage, I'm saying, oh, I want to set that too. So I hit it twice and it sets it, puts check marks there, okay? All right, so I just kind of zoomed in so you can see this better. You can see the check marks here. There's no check marks in these channels. So just set up channel 3, okay? So here, let me pull back away a little bit. And keep kind of tight so you can see really well. All right, so the other thing is on the set, I can set up the voltages, okay? So I can set those if I want, but I can also just come up here and the way you do that, by the way, is you hit voltage and see the little box goes over there, and I can set it up the same way I did the limits, current, same way. Or what's cool about this is it also has these fixed voltages because they know that sometimes you're going to just be doing 2.5 volts. So let's just fix it there. So, or maybe it's 3.3 or it's 1.8. So it's nice that you have those. Now notice it doesn't go down to 5. There is a 5, but I set the limit, so it won't do that, right? So let's do the over voltage, and let's go to 5.6, enter. Now I can go down to 5. See, now it lets me select 5. So you can do these fixed things, so that way it's really easy for you, but you still may want to go and set up your overcurrent protection, just so if something goes bad, that you just don't pull a lot of current, right? Okay, so that's kind of how you set up each channel. And then as you're running, once you turn it on, okay, so they're all on right now, but once you turn it on, you're actually pulling current or voltage from a thing, it'll show you what your voltage is and what your current is once you're actually pulling something from there. All right, guys, so I've connected up one of these 4 ohm resistor loads. All right, so what I want to show you is that we have 5 volts set, but we don't have any current, but the outputs are on, right? Turn on the output, turn them all on just so you can see the other two, so it's more fun. But anyway, there's no output. What's going on? Well, the current limit's set for 5.52 amps, so we should, be able to draw that much current, right? Well, not yet, because we haven't set the current on the output, so there's also that set up. What's nice about that is, so look, I'm set for that decimal point right there, right behind the decimal point. So if I turn it up one spot, so now we have 100 milliamps and 408 millivolts. So what's nice about that is you can bring up the voltage slowly by just allowing the current to flow. And if you're like, wow, we shouldn't be drawing that much current, so there's got to be a problem. But knowing that, we have a 4 ohm resistor, we're going to go up to 4 volts, right? So we got to get it on current to get to 4 volts. And now we hit the over current. So now I got to come back over here and say, oh, no, I need to go up a little higher, because if I get 1 amp, it'll be 4 volts. So let's go up a little higher than that even. I'll go 1.6, okay? So now I'm expecting to go up to 1.6. So now if I go back to current set, let's bring it up. Things are coming up okay, maybe. We don't know if we have a short on the output yet, if you're bringing up current solely. But now we have that 4 ohm load, so we know we're going to stop there. But what if you're expecting 1 amp and you get more current? So if I go up another notch, okay, it took another little bit of current. Look at that, it's taking a little bit more current. That's because we have the voltage set for 5 volts. So now we're up to 5 volts, and I'm bringing up the current 1.5 and nothing's happened. So, okay, over current limit, back to there. But see, so at 5 volts, 4.999, we can draw 1.2 amps. So it's just a way that you have dual control. You have your limits, but then you also have your set points. So it's actually a really cool feature. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, now see these 2 resistors here. Let's hook these up into our, let's pretend we're hooking up an audio amplifier, okay? So I can go 1 resistor to channel 2. We're gonna go to series up here, okay? Let's say we're gonna hook up series power, and it shows I go from channel 1 plus to channel 2 minus, okay? I'll zoom in on that. All right, guys, we're in series mode, but the one thing about this, it shows, hooking up to positive to channel 1 positive and channel 2 negative, but then it shows the minus, the other terminal on channel 1, the other terminal on channel 2. I think there should be a line drawn between those showing that that's your other connection point, because it also shows the ground, so it could be confusing, like where do you connect your return for the 2 voltages, right? And it's actually on either one of these. So let me just show you that, okay? All right, so let's say I take one of my resistors, and actually I'll just show it, just to prove something to you. I'm going to connect it to the negative, And instead of connecting it to this one, which might just look like I'm connecting it to one of the outputs, I'm going to connect it to this guy just to show you that these two guys are actually connected together, okay? So on this resistor, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to the plus one of this. So these guys are really just connected together. And I'm going to go to minus, or I mean to the plus of this. So this is my plus and negative supply, and this is my return, these two terminals. Not this guy. This is the safety ground, or earth ground, some people call it, or whatever, but that's what that is. So you don't use that one, okay? So now let's go ahead and turn on the outputs, turn them all on, okay? So now look, what's nice about this is it tells you that just go ahead and set up the one output. You don't have to, you don't have to wonder which one's a master and slave. This is a master, this is a slave, but it gives you one output to set up, so that makes it easy. So let's just start bringing up this voltage here. Okay, I'll go to 10 volts for just to start with. Well, that's close enough, I guess. 9.997, okay? So there we go. So look, we're drawing 1.2 amps. Now, does that mean we have plus minus 10 volts? You know, what's going on? So here, let's bring in the meter just to verify what's happening here. Let's go ahead and turn this guy on. And I need to hold that so it turns on the backlight. It thinks there's enough light, but I want, for you guys to be able to see it. So I'm hooking up this way. Okay, so right now I've got it hooked up to one of the outputs. And see, so it's 10 volts. So it's plus minus 5 volts. That's the overall voltage from plus to minus is 10. Okay, that was that series connection, right? So in series, you can hook it up as a reference, but really what they're saying is, hey, you can get double the voltage, like 60 volts or whatever, out of a series connection. But you can also hook, like for an audio amplifier, you can also go to the return. So I'm just showing it. We actually have a plus voltage there from here. Now, if I took this one over here, it'd be a minus 5, right? Because we have a total of 10. So you can actually use it that way. And I think that's why they don't show the connection here for your return for your center point, because it's, they're in series, right? It's like two batteries in series. But just to point out that you can hook it up to an audio amplifier. And I'm going to actually show you that just to make that point, okay? All right, guys, this KPS meter is really nice. I went to the menu and turned on the backlight constant, so it just stays on. So that's a really neat feature, really powerful meter, by the way. So anyway, back to this. So we're seeing 5 volts up here, okay? We're seeing 10 volts across the series from plus to minus, but I'm showing that this is 5 volts on this output, the master output, but look, I can take this and put it over on the plus of this. So these two guys are connected together. It's 5 volts, doesn't matter. Now if I connect here, 0. Well, 0.009, Anyway, so now if I go over here, I get the negative 5 volts, right? Okay, so you can see the negative sign right here, right? So now if I move this over here, still negative 5 volts. If I go over here, 5 volts. Okay, so I just wanted to prove that to you, how you can prove it to yourself. Now we can turn them off. Now let's set up an amplifier. Hey guys, I just want to explain why this is such a good power supply for audio amplifier testing. Since it can go plus or minus 30 volts, well actually like plus or minus 33 volts about there, right? Well, if that's the peak to peak, if that's the rails of your amplifier and you're going to swing between those things, then the RMS is going to be down, closer to 20 volts, right? Well, if you're testing a 4 ohm load, then 4 ohms times 5 amps is 20 volts. So you can put the full 20 volts RMS on a 4 ohm load. Therefore, you can test audio amplifiers up to 4 ohms with your plus minus 30 volt swing. So that's really nice. And then if you want to go to, say, higher voltage rails, well, then you'd have to go to 8 ohm loads, and then you could go to higher volts. But you can do 4 ohms up to 20 volts RMS. That's pretty darn nice. So yeah, that means you can test what, like 100 watts RMS. That's pretty sweet. Let's get back in on the bench. All right, guys, I'm going to move this. Well, I'm just kind of propping this guy up right here on the bench right here. So here's an amplifier. I've got the output. This is the main board, and then there's a bunch of output transistors, and I got this heat sink pushing down on them against this heat sink here. So trying to keep it all cool. Been some dust collecting on this. I haven't, powered this up for a long time. So we're going to get back in this amplifier, by the way. I want to finish building this. This is the Pass A5 audio amplifier. So here's my plus 30 volts input, okay? And here's my minus 30. It says 34 on the board, minus and plus 34. But here's my plus minus, and here's my return, okay? So what I do is, all right, guys, so what I have is I have this setup, okay? So I put my plus into the plus output, and I put my black, my negative, and my negative output, and then I put my return in either one of these two. Doesn't matter. I'll just put it here, okay? So my return is this guy, and I'm going to put it right there on the return, okay? And then my negative, oops, over here on this side, and then my positive over here. Okay, so now let's come back over to the power supply. All right, we got the power supply in here. And you know what? I'm going to hook this up from plus to minus, just to one of the outputs, just to show what the actual output's set to. Right now it's set to 10. I want to bring that down because I don't want to turn it on with any voltage. This is how I like to power things up, especially when I'm not sure about the setup. Now, the limit is set for 3 amps, or 3 volts and 5.2. That's kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and set the over voltage to max. I'm just going to max it out. Okay, 66 volts. Okay, and then I'm going to leave the current 5.2. You know what? I'm actually going to drop the current limit down to 1 amp because I don't think we'll be drawing more than 1 amp. I'm not sure. So let's just go ahead and do that just in case there's a problem. I don't damage things more than they need to be. So 1.2 amps, I'll leave that there. So now let's go backward to voltage. And the set point's 5.2, but it won't go there because the limit's 1.2. So that's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and start bringing this up. Well, first of all, let's turn on all the outputs. Okay. I don't need to turn them all on. I'm going to turn off the third one. Okay. So I'm going to just go ahead and bring it up. Okay. A good sign when I start bringing up the voltage, there's no current or very little current because nothing should really be turned on yet. So we're 5 volts plus minus 3 volts now, 6 volts here. So we're plus or minus half of this, okay? So I'm drawing a little bit of current. We got about 4 watts, and it's a Class A/B amplifier, so that's probably okay. And I actually see an LED turning on. See the LED right there? All right, so there's that LED right back here turning on. So let's go back over here. And let's just go ahead and bring things up a little bit more. Okay, so, okay, 1 amp, and we're plus minus 6.5 volts. So I'm just going to bring it up to say plus minus 20 volts. So I'll need 40 volts here. So I got about 45 watts, and I got about plus minus 12 volts. Now, because I haven't had this on for a while, I like to go around and touch things on the power supply to make sure there's nothing really getting hot. I forget what the, what the settings should be for this. So not really sure right now. But right now it's saying we're drawing about 48 watts and we're plus minus 12 volts. So when I set up the Class A/B operation, it might be more Class A than A/B, that kind of thing. I will go ahead and bring it up a little bit higher, and let's just see. Okay, the 2 amps is staying solid, right? That's a good sign. So that means I must have set the outputs to 2 amps. So there we go. So now we're plus minus 20 volts. and we're still just over 2 amps. We're about 85 watts. So that's how you can use a plus minus supply, and that's how you can bring up slow and you can bring up safely, okay? So, you know, you kind of have to know what your amplifier wants to do, but I'm not drawing a lot of current, and the current went up to 2 amps and then it stopped, and so I think that's where my set point must be. Like I said, this has been quite a while since I've worked with this amplifier. We're going to get back to this amplifier and build it up, but yeah, there we go. Love this power supply. Awesome. You know, very safe way to work with things. And let's go ahead and turn it off, and voltage just drops right down to 0. So very nice. Okay, for you guys paying attention, you notice the current's 2.1, almost 2.2 amps, right? And we're set at 1.2. So what happened? Well, I forgot to hit the check mark. So if I go to overcurrent protection, it's highlighted. If I hit it again, it'll put a check mark here. And it's going to current limit. Yep, just current limited. Okay, now if I try to turn it back on again, here, let me turn off channel 3. It turns on, but this time it only goes up to 1.2. So it limits the voltage to 13 volts because that's all it can supply at 1.2. So now if I try to bring the voltage up a little bit higher, see, I can't do it because it was set at 40, but it's limited to 1.2. And what it did is it set the limit over here for the current of 1.2 after it tripped. So after it tripped, it automatically set this one. So that's a pretty cool feature, right? So if I go to current and say, no, I can go higher than 1.2, it says, nope, over current value. So yeah, pretty neat feature. And by the way, one more interesting feature is when you're in series mode. Here, let's do all off. I can go all on, but then I can turn off channel 3. But the other way to do it is just to hit one of the channels, right? And it turns them both on because they're in series. So yeah, that's kind of a cool thing. You can turn them both off that way too. So yeah, very cool power supply. Hey guys, what do you think of this? Hey, 2 big thumbs up to Uni-T for sending this out to me. That was very awesome. Yeah, that was amazing. I love this power supply. Big old heavy behemoth, but very capable. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. We're going to test a lot of audio amplifiers with it because now I have the dual tracking. You know, a cheap man's way is to use 2 kaiweets or something like that, just track them that way. But man, there's a lot of benefits. The overcurrent protection, all the settings, the on-off of the outputs, and there's some other neat things I'm still going to show you. Some graphing and some other really cool settings you can do with this. We'll do that in another video, okay? Just wanted to keep this one simple. All right, guys. 2 big thumbs up to my patrons, as always. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. 2 big thumbs up to my the members of the channel. I think I got like a few more members of the channel. I lost a few members on the Patreon. Things just go up and down. But hey, really appreciate you guys. And Danny, big old thumbs up to you for being a team member. I got 1 team member. That's super neat. And what else? Oh, you can hit the super thank you button down below. Appreciate that as well. You can become a member of the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And yeah, anyway, guys, you can do all kinds of things. A free way to support the channel is just to like the video, hit the thumbs up down below, and to share it. Become a subscriber. That's a big help. Let's get the subscribers up. All right, guys, thanks for watching. What do you think the shorter format? I mean, it would have been more like 45 minutes, maybe over an hour to really go through this. I think I'd break up 2 or 3 videos. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching.